Hello and welcome to Firstpost Spotlight, where we bring you stories that matter to you from all across the world. From breaking news to the day's biggest controversies, we shed light on issues that shape our world. I'm Alison Lagrange, live from Durban, South Africa. Let's begin with the top headlines. The European Union asks China to avoid escalation as Beijing vows to fight the end against the additional 50% tariffs threatened by US President Donald Trump. Protests erupt inside and outside Israel's top court as it begins hearing on Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's government's hotly contested decision to sack the domestic security chief, citing a lack of trust. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi welcomes Dubai's Crown Prince Sheikh Hamdan to New Delhi. The two leaders hold talks on strengthening bilateral ties in strategic, economic and cultural sectors. South Korea will hold its presidential election on the 3rd of June. This comes after former leader Yoon Suk-yeol's removal from office over a controversial declaration of martial law last December. And the death toll from flooding in the Congolese capital of Kinshasa reaches 33 as authorities race to evacuate and support hundreds of families trapped in their homes. Hello and welcome. We begin with the latest on tensions brewing between Israel and Turkey over their contested influence in politically volatile Syria. And it looks like the US's Donald Trump is once again stepping into the ring, this time as a Netanyahu-designated mediator between Israel and Turkey. Now, speaking beside Prime Minister Netanyahu at the White House, Trump touted his great relations with Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. The US leader claimed that he could be the man to smooth over the growing tensions between Israel and Turkey. Trump said that he had assured Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu that if Israel has a problem with Turkey, he will step in to, quote-unquote, work it out.
Well, I have great relations with a man named Erdogan. Have you heard of him? And I happen to like him, and he likes me, and I know the press will get very angry. He likes Erdogan, but I do, and he likes me, and we've never had a problem. And I told the Prime Minister, I said, just, Bibi, if you have a problem with Turkey, I really think I'm going to be able to work it out.
Trump's response came after Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu hailed US leaders' relationship with Turkey's Erdogan. Prime Minister Netanyahu said he can't think of a better interlocutor for Israel-Turkey peace than the US President Donald Trump.
Also discussed the situation in Syria. We've had neighborly relations with Turkey that have deteriorated, and we don't want to see Syria being used by anyone, including Turkey, as a base for attack in Israel. Turkey is a country that has a great relationship with the United States. The president has a relationship with the leader of Turkey. We discussed how we can avoid this conflict in a variety of ways, and I think we can't have a better interlocutor than the President of the United States for this purpose.
The renewed focus on stable ties between Israel and Turkey comes as both countries jostle for influence in Syria after the ouster of its leader Bashar al-Assad in December last year. Turkey is known to have aided Syria's current Islamist leaders, especially in their lightning offensive against Bashar al-Assad's forces, starting late November last year. The country's new leadership, led by the interim president, Abu Muhammad al-Jalani, has publicly praised Turkish President Erdogan for his support. Meanwhile, Tel Aviv says the Syrian territory is used by Iran to arm regional militant groups to attack Israel. The country has struck Hezbollah-linked targets in Syria in recent months, despite initial offer of peace to the country's new Islamist leaders. The Israeli attacks on Syria, which is seen to be struggling for political stability, has irked Turkey. Now, President Erdogan even called Israel a threat and a destabilizer adding that Israeli attacks were simply feeding terrorism in West Asia. For Ankara, Syria and its pro-Turkey leaders have emerged as a vital sphere of influence. After years of civil war, Turkey has positioned itself as a power player, supporting anti-Assad rebels and consolidating its position. For Israel, though, Turkey's growing influence on Syria is seen with skepticism. Many in Israel see Turkey exploiting the power vacuum in Syria to create a threat to the state of Israel. But despite the long-standing rift between Erdogan's Turkey and Netanyahu's Israel, Trump is full of confidence that he will bring peace between the two countries. So if Trump mediates between the two sides, could this be a diplomatic breakthrough or just another episode of his global stagecraft? And staying on with West Asia, ratcheting up fears of a wider regional conflict, Israel is intensifying its military actions in the neighborhood. Along with its ongoing offensive in Gaza, Israel is stepping up airstrikes in both Lebanon and Syria, raising concerns of a wider regional conflict. In Lebanon, the situation has become increasingly volatile. According to Lebanon's health ministry, Israel launched fresh strikes in southern Lebanon on Monday, claiming the target of these strikes is Hezbollah. Israel has conducted regular strikes in Lebanon since the ceasefire on the 27th of November ended more than a year of war with Hezbollah, claiming that its actions are to enforce the deal instead. Now, Israeli strikes also hit Lebanon's capital, Beirut. Last week, an Israeli strike killed at least 4 people in the Lebanese capital. Israel said it targeted a Hezbollah member who had worked with Hamas. The Lebanese government has strongly condemned these strikes, calling them a clear violation of the ceasefire. The US brokered deal to end the 13-month war stipulated that Hezbollah would move its weapons out of southern Lebanon, while Israeli troops were to withdraw and to be replaced by the Lebanese army. However, Israeli troops reportedly remain in 5 strategic positions inside southern Lebanon, claiming it was part of the agreement. From Lebanon to Israel's other northern neighbor, Syria, last week Israel struck 5 separate areas in Syria in a window of 30 minutes. These strikes hit targeted military infrastructure and demolished runways, arms depots, and hangars. Israeli forces also struck at least 2 Syrian air bases in Hama and Homs, which reportedly killed 9 people. Now, among the deadliest since the fall of Bashar al-Assad's regime in December. Now, Syrian state media said that Israel's shelling had killed 9 people. These strikes were some of the most intense attacks in Syria since Bashar al-Assad's regime was toppled in December of last year. Israel has been stepping up airstrikes on Syria in what it says are a warning to the new Islamist leaders in Damascus.
To the Syrian regime, we say very clearly any attempt by your forces or terrorist groups to entrench themselves will not be allowed. Israel will act decisively, and we mean it. Just yesterday, the IDF struck military targets at the Hama and T4 bases, as well as key infrastructure in the Damascus region. Last night, IDF forces operated in southern Syria to dismantle terrorist infrastructure and seize weapons. When terrorists opened fire on our troops, they were swiftly eliminated. Israel will not allow threats to build up on our borders. We will act whenever and wherever necessary to ensure our security.
Meanwhile, in Gaza, the humanitarian crisis continues to worsen as Israel's renewed military offensive persists. According to Palestinian officials, nearly 1,400 people have been killed in Gaza since the ceasefire with Hamas broke down last month. On Monday, an Israeli strike hit a tent used by journalists near Nasser Hospital, killing 10 people and wounding dozens more. Israel has also imposed a total siege on Gaza, with no food or supplies entering since the 2nd of March. Evacuation orders issued by Israel have displaced hundreds of thousands of people from their homes. The renewed offensive has pushed the total death toll in Gaza above 50,000 people. The intensifying multi-front campaigns are a part of a more aggressive approach by Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who has received the staunch backing of US President Donald Trump. On Monday, US President Donald Trump hosted the Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu at the White House. During the meeting, Trump called for an end to the Gaza war and the immediate release of the remaining hostages.
I'd like to see the war stop, and I think the war will stop at some point that won't be in the too distant future. Right now we have a problem with hostages. We're trying to get the hostages out. We got quite a few of them out, but it's a long process.
But as West Asia continues to grapple with escalating conflicts and worsening crises, with truce pact bearing Trump on his side, will Netanyahu ever turn toward peace? And moving on to the South China Sea region, a newly inaugurated naval base in Cambodia, which has been significantly upgraded with Chinese assistance, is sparking international concern. The Ream Naval Base, which was officially opened on the 5th of April, has immediately become the site of joint military drills between Chinese and Cambodian troops. Warships from both nations participated in the exercises, focusing on formation maneuvering. Now, this demonstration of military cooperation comes just one day after the inauguration of the upgraded Ream Naval Base. The expansion of the Ream Naval Base in Cambodia has been underway since June of 2022 and has been funded by Beijing. This development followed Cambodia's demolition of a US-built facility at the same location in the year 2020, after declining Washington's offer to repair it. Cambodia has consistently denied reports of a clandestine agreement with China to station its forces at the base. The Cambodian government says the facility is open to hosting military vessels from all countries. The inauguration ceremony over the weekend was attended by Cambodian Prime Minister Hun Manet and a delegation from China's People's Liberation Army. The expanded base reportedly features a new pier that's capable of accommodating larger vessels.
This new naval base opening is taking place about 2 weeks before the official state visit to Cambodia of China's President Xi Jinping. His visit is planned for 3 countries, Malaysia, Vietnam, and Cambodia, and his visit to us shows the solid friendship with our country.
For years, this base has been under intense scrutiny, with the United States and several Southeast Asian nations expressing apprehension that Beijing intends to use it exclusively for its People's Liberation Army forces. However, the Cambodian Prime Minister, Hun Manet, has repeatedly refuted these claims.
The royal government of Cambodia, led by the Cambodian People's Party, in the past, now and in the future will not violate its own constitution to allow any single foreign country to put a military base in the country.
Despite these assurances, shortly after the base became operational, the Golden Dragon 2025 joint military exercise commenced at the Ream port. Analysts in Washington have warned that establishing a Chinese naval facility in Cambodia is a crucial step toward Beijing's ambition to create a global network of military outposts. While China's current overseas naval presence is limited to a base in Djibouti, the strategically located Ream Naval Base offers the potential to significantly project Chinese naval power throughout the Indo-Pacific. Concerns in the US are further fueled by the fact that the upgraded base can now accommodate aircraft carriers, and these are the vessels Cambodia does not possess, but China does, with a rapidly expanding fleet. The new pier's dimensions and design also reportedly bear striking resemblance to a Chinese military pier in Djibouti. Moreover, Chinese warships have maintained a consistent presence at the Ream port for over a year. Adding to the complexity, the strengthening ties between Cambodia and China have coincided with a cooling of relations between Cambodia and the United States. A U.S. defense attaché was previously denied full access to the base, and U.S.-funded buildings were demolished as a part of the China-led upgrade. The international community will be watching closely to see how this development unfolds and what it means for the future security landscape of Southeast Asia. India's Delhi has fast-forwarded straight into peak summer this year. What's usually reserved for the sweltering months of May and early June has already gripped the capital in early April. With dry winds, rising humidity and a full-blown heat wave, the temperatures crossing the 40 degrees Celsius mark, residents of Delhi are now facing a brutal preview of summer far earlier than expected. Delhi is officially in meltdown mode, quite literally. On the 7th of April, Delhi recorded its first official heat wave of the season, with the mercury peaking at a sizzling 40.2 degrees Celsius. This was the highest maximum temperature so far this year, surpassing the previous 39 degrees Celsius recorded just days ago on the 3rd of April. So what does a heat wave even mean? Now, according to the Indian Meteorological Department, a heat wave is declared when the maximum temperature crosses 40 degrees Celsius. And it isn't enough, just this. The IMD says that Delhi is looking at more of this sizzling drama until at least the 9th of April. Now, a western disturbance may bring relief with thunderstorms and cooler winds. The city might even see a modest 2 to 3 degrees Celsius drop in maximum temperatures. The IMD has issued a yellow alert for Delhi and its nearby regions. If the temperatures rise further, Delhi will enter orange or even red alert territory. Orange means that the heat is turning dangerous and could cause illness in anyone doing physical labor outdoors. Red is for when the situation gets serious. Think full-blown heat stroke danger. So drink your electrolytes and hide from the sun like it's an X. Now, Delhi is no stranger to heat. While there were no heatwave days in April of 2024, the city suffered an April heatwave in 2022 for 4 days between the 8th of April and the 11th. Now, India's Meteorological Department's data shows that in the last 15 years, this early arrival of summer has only happened once before in 2021. Temperatures then hit 40.1 degrees Celsius on the 30th of March. Because extreme heat wasn't enough, Delhi's air quality also took a nosedive. On Monday, the AQI hit 261, deep into the poor category. A day before, on Sunday, the reading was at 209, which was only slightly less terrible. So the residents are roasting and gasping at the same time. So as Delhi swelters under an early and aggressive summer, one thing is clear. Mother Nature skipped spring altogether and jumped straight into the blast furnace mode. Whether you are braving it with sunscreen, prayer, or just refusing to leave your AC cool room, stay cool, hydrated, and hopeful. And that's all we have on the show for today. We will see you again tomorrow at the same time. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned to Firstpost.
From breaking news to the day's biggest controversies, shedding light on the world's top headlines, detailed analysis on the stories that matter the most to you. Catch it all on Spotlight at 6 p.m. India time and 12:30 GMT, only on Firstpost.